Alrighty then. Hello there, Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide fans. My name is TheSchwanz27, and we have a very special 2 versus 2 Archipelago co-op multi-world race for you tonight for our Multithon 2025 submission race. I am joined in the commentary booth by Gretham. Gretham, how are we doing tonight?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to see what is going to happen tonight with this Archipelago run.
Also joined by Cheech, pushing the buttons as well, tracking. Cheech, are you excited about tonight's race as well?
Oh, I sure am. These Archipelago runs are always pretty exciting.
Yeah, so let's break this down for you. We'll talk about what the Final Fantasy VI randomizer even is, but first we'll talk about sort of what you're going to see here. You're going to see the left-hand side team versus the right-hand side team. The top runners are running the same ROM, and the bottom runners are running the same ROM, and each team is running a collective seed against the other team. Runner 1's rewards may be in Runners 2's worlds, and if we had the option on, we don't, to share treasure, you can. And racers can talk to one another in their own voice chats, and average team time, or total team time, it doesn't matter, it's just math, will win in this particular race. So let's talk about what the heck even is Worlds Collide, and how does this basically work. So, where are we here? I had a graphic up, and now, unfortunately, I can't find it. That's usually how it goes here in Restream land. But anyway, so essentially, you get to start out with a set of characters. In this case, it's 3 characters. And we have to find and unlock and beat Final Kefka in order to beat the game. In this case, it is a set of 6 characters, 9 espers. Our runners are going to be required to perform in the opera, which will be a donation incentive for the marathon run if we are selected, and an option between saving Sid or letting Sid die, which is, again, another marathon submission bid war we can do. So throughout this race, we're going to solicit input from you, the viewers, about 10 minutes into the seed. I will open up a poll, and you in the chat can vote on whether we get to do save Sid or kill Sid, and then I'll relay that to the runners as they go. So, Gretham, you want to tell us a little bit more about Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide and what this is all about?
Yeah, so Worlds Collide is, of course, a Final Fantasy VI randomizer, where you start with 3 characters and an airship, and you can just go. You can switch between both worlds, World of Ruin, World of Balance, and then depending on which characters you have can affect which checks you do. Usually we start off by doing a little bit of looting to get some power, a little bit of grind to get some levels, and then people just go full steam ahead and start doing checks to try and get more characters and more espers.
Yeah, so there is this concept called character gating in Worlds Collide, where the world events of Final Fantasy VI, or as we like to call them, checks, will open up depending upon which characters you have recruited. So it's a very interesting thing, and here was the slide I was looking for all along. Thank you very much. It only took me forever to find it. So enemies in this are scaled to based on the number of checks that you've done times 2 in this particular race. So we're going to keep a counter for how many checks that we've done. So this way we could see exactly how tough the bosses will be at any particular instant. So in Worlds Collide, the chests, the items in chests, the abilities, the espers, what the espers teach, what spells they teach, the enemies, the enemy locations, the items and shops are all randomized. The bosses and dragons in this case are shuffled amongst one another, so we're not going to see repeat bosses or dragons, but they definitely won't be in the same spot in this particular race. And question from the chat, are they all playing the same seed? So, since this is an Archipelago multi-world race, you'll see as I clear this off my screen, the top runners will be playing the same seed, and the bottom runners will be playing the same seed, and it's the left team versus the right team. So the team has to help one another out in order to get the final Kefka unlock requirements. So we'll kind of walk you through that as the seed goes along. Gretham, we got anything else to add before we kick off the run here?
No, I think we are good to go. We can see what characters we're starting with on the screen. I guess the big question is, what abilities are the characters going to start with? Because, like everything else, it's randomized. So you can have what you think in base vanilla characters good, they could become bad. But we'll see when we start.
Yeah, so as part of the AP, we also have the little chat box there in the corner, and we are off and running here. We do know who our starting characters are. That's unfortunately part of what the AP World file does give us, so we know who our characters are. Looks like we got Gal, Gaz, Lore, and Runic, and Celeste. I did not see what Celeste has.
I believe wasn't something great. It was something like Capture. It wasn't great.
All right, we did see Grand Train and Quasar, though, as part of that lore list. One free Fitz, who has Edgar, is going to be doing one of Edgar's checks first here, which is the Figaro Castle. So we can go ahead and grab a reward on the Figaro throne here, and you'll see the text chat pop up, I think, a little bit before we get to see it in game, just due to the delay of how things are. Rage, Natural Magic, Edgar, Slot is on Terra, and I didn't get the chance to see what Setzer has as their ability there. But we did see that one free Fitz did send an Esper over to Questa for Workin, so we're going to mark that down here. And part of the reason why we have things based on check scaling is because if we had them based on, like progression, like the number of characters or espers, you might unfortunately have one runner get just overloaded at the very beginning of the game. So we decided to balance it out a little bit. We do see some fixed dice for sale in the shop from Questa for Workin. And we do see Drinks Glue with Terra heading to one of Terra's checks here, Gretham.
Yeah, Terra is one of the best, maybe the best starting character, just because you get to come to the sealed cave, which is what we call a free check. So there's no boss there. You can just run in, get the check done. And then it also has a wild amount of loot. And that's what we like in the early game. We like free checks, we like loot. So those just give both things.
Yeah, so what you'll see here is the runners will be passing what's called Archipelago items back and forth to one another. So you won't actually see the rewards show up on the screen like in some other multi-world games. We are currently working on that, and it's kind of in development. But as you could imagine, if you turned on the treasure shuffle mode, you can get hundreds and hundreds of items at once if you log on for the first time. So we have to be careful with how we implement that. But that is why we've got the chats on the screen to let us know exactly what is being sent over to one another. So hopefully that will help everybody out to figure out what the heck's even going on here. Big shout out to Big Mallet Man, who just came into the chat as well for helping with the AP coding and development side of things. So this is a game that's still currently in development, both the base game and the AP side of things as well for multi-world. So I've done a couple of multi-world races, and I've also done some big asynchronous groups, and it's a lot of fun to be putting this game into there.
We just see somebody found a VK, so that's one of the better weapons you can find. Not an insane early game weapon, but that is a item that people like to build their characters around, so that is a thing to keep an eye out on.
Yeah, so that'll be the reward at the end of the sealed gate. So if one free Fitz also decides to go to the sealed gate cave, they will find their Valiant Knife as well. So
in this
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, in this game, you usually like to get characters or espers. Those are what you're hunting for. But sometimes checks don't have either of those. We call those dead checks, and that's where they get the VK. And sometimes they're good. They're like usually good items, but sometimes you don't always get the best loot.
Yeah,
but
so
VK is definitely one of the best.
Yeah, so with Worlds Collide, you could actually customize the items that you could get rewarded from those quote-unquote dead checks, or the ones that don't provide either a character or esper. One of the things that I undertook when I first started playing this game in multi-world is we did have the AP version of the game was quite down level from what we had experienced in the base game. So I brought the AP version of the game up to the current level so that you could use the FS6WorldsCollide.com website to pick any options that you want to turn into a flag string, and then you could plug that flag string right into your options here. So we do have better items in the pool, as we do see one free Fitz also spending some money on his own esper this time. It's Odin there at the Tizen Thief for about $19,000. That, Gretham, is a pretty safe pickup, if I were to say so.
Yeah, there hasn't been anything crazy in the shops yet, so might as well try and get an esper. Getting an early esper is great because not only can you learn magic from them, they can also boost your stats. So getting them before you level up is a great way to start pumping up your stats. Like if you can get something with like a +1 or +2 magic on it, or some vigor on it, you can get some really strong offense out of it.
And that is a jump natural magic shadow for both of our top runners there at Celeste's South Figaro prisoner spot. So that's a nice addition to have to our team. That's character number 4. Plus a Genji glove to loot out of the South Figaro basement as well. Not a bad time here.
It'll be interesting to see if Shadow can use a spear, because equip pools can also be randomized here. So Shadow in the base game, not the best spear user, has a chance of being able to use a spear, and then of course if they get something like Dragon Boots that Fitz just got, or Dragon Horn, they'd be able to do multi-jumping.
Yeah, so we are seeing, some items now starting to go back and forth between our runners. The first 5 or 10 minutes of a Worlds Collide seed is usually just looting and shopping and seeing what you have. But there are a couple of, as we mentioned, free checks, things that you don't have to fight battles for that you can go and do. And we'll see how many free checks our runners decide to do. As there's another esper for Christopher Warkin with Phoenix there at the Gao Manor, which is one of Shadow's checks, who is a character we just literally acquired now. And I do see Ultima on an esper there, that Odin esper that one free Fitz pulled out of the Tizen Thief, paying dividends early there, Greffin.
Yeah. The big thing with these early free checks is you have to balance between how many you want to do. Because the more checks you do, the stronger enemies are. And you start at level 3, so if you, let's say, somehow do 5 free checks, that could crazy bump up the scaling, and then you'll start falling behind. So you have to balance how many free checks you want to do versus your level.
Yeah, so this is exciting. It looks like we are seeing both Christopher Warkin and Drinkskaloo standing outside the Opera House. And remember, as I mentioned before, one of the objectives in order to beat the game, you have to unlock Final Kefka in order to beat the game. And one of the things you have to do is you have to do the perform in an opera scene. So a lot of the quests from the original game that are not sort of battle-oriented, we've folded them into their own sort of quest moniker. And this is one of them, performing in the opera and making sure you pick all of the right choices here. And that leads into our objective system, where you could pick between lots of different conditions in order to do things like unlock the final boss of the game, give yourself a stat boost or nerf, make yourself forget spells or learn spells, give yourself an auto permanent status condition. There's lots of different cool things you could do with the objective system, and this is one of them right here.
Yeah, because the big ones are the opera, and then, of course, the saving or letting Sid die, which you will see later. And then for free checks, we saw Possum Orpheus check Zen Thief, and it's 60,000. So
that's a lot of money.
That's something you won't be seeing for a while. So if you were in their shoes, I guess if you were on the bottom runners, who would you? Which check do you think you would go to first?
So
after free checks.
Yeah, so bottom runners after the free check. So I like to use the Sealed Gate Cave Ninja pull down for Terra in order to get some levels here. But if I don't want to do that, maybe I would consider doing Leet River for those forced grind encounters. Whereas the top runners, you're seeing sort of a different philosophy here. Christopher Warkin in the Opera House with that economizer with the Grand Train is really, really nice, especially having Go-Go to mimic it right after that means we basically get to do Grand Train as many times as we want to fight through the rafters. But we also have Gao, who has access to the Serpent Trench, which is a bunch of forced encounters as you go through that particular check as well. So those are some of the things that I would look for early game, is way to do battles against regular enemies versus bosses in order to get enough levels so you can take on that first boss there.
Yeah. In FF6, it's levels are king. Levels will do so much for your damage, so you're just doing those early checks that have those grind fights combined with it is great.
Yeah, so Fitz decided to go up to one of the soldiers and say, "Fight me, bro." So you do get thrown out there, but if this is a good fight, you can go back in and take it as many times as you want. So that's also part of Terra's Sealed Gate Cave. And it looks like Possum Morpheus is having maybe some connection issues with the AP client, decided to restart it, and is going to be coming back again here.
Yeah, he had found the Gao check because an imp was there. I wonder if that did not work when he used the dried meat on the imp. I wonder if he'll be looking for the encounter again. Because the good thing about doing this Velt check first is anytime you fight a random encounter, they'll be added to the Velt pool. And so if you do it early, there's only going to be a Lobo there. So good to do early, so you're not stuck having to fight hard encounters for no XP rewards.
Yeah, it looks like they're having some trouble with sending and receiving items. So I'm going to do some debugging on that. So Gretham, why don't you take over here for just a minute?
Okay, so let's see here. We have Christopher Workin running into his boss. And then some shopping over here on One Free Fritz side, trying to collect some money. Because he's buying a pearl rod. Being able to find early rods, you can break them, do a lot of damage. Something with Worlds Collide is we've bumped up the prices a bunch because something around like 2,000 in the base game, and that's just absurd. You can just buy all of them and then just crack it on every boss you see. So we've bumped up the price, so it is a little bit more expensive, but they're still very strong. Then on Christopher Workin's side, he has taken out Ifrit and Shiva.
Very nice.
And we'll see what the reward is here.
Yeah, so he did get Tritalk from One Free Fitz a little bit before this fight. So we'll see what that Tritalk has on. I told Possum Morpheus to maybe take a battle and see if that resets what he's doing. If not, then we're going to have to figure something else fun out to do.
Hopefully it's able to work. And then, yeah, we can see here that Christopher found his own Odin.
Yeah, so he's already up to 5 espers, I think, if that's correct. So I'd have to go look at his tracker here just to make sure that that's correct.
So pretty much what we're seeing here right now is the bottom runners are feeding all of their loot to the top runners. And so the bottom runners might be having a tough time while the top runners are having a grand old time.
Alright, it looks like I might have miscounted there. It looks like he might only have 4 espers.
Oh, I see on their tracker 4 and 5, so they might have 5. Well, and now we see Christopher Workin going to do his opera. We have One Free Fitz going to Delete River, another one of those early checks that have a bunch of grind fights in it. It's a little bit scary, kind of like the other opera house, because once you go in here, you can't leave. So if you run into a scary boss, that can definitely hurt you. But we will see what boss he runs into.
Alright, so we're going to have Possum Morpheus start from scratch here, because I think what happens sometimes is if your SNI client gets stale, then you don't get the data sent that you should have gotten. So I told him, quit the game, quit the AP client, go into your system tray, shut the whole thing down, and then start over again. And if that doesn't work, then we will have to set up a completely brand new, different room for them, and they will be a little bit behind in the race. But hey, that is a good challenge to overcome.
Yeah, just nice challenge. See if they can catch up. 15 minutes? Yeah, it's possible.
I'm hoping it doesn't have to come to that. So. We do see one free Fitz on the Leet River, so while Fitz is trying to catch up and, get some levels under his own belt, Christopher Workin decides now's a good time to go do the opera, because I don't want to have to keep getting things for myself, right? So sometimes you're like, hey, let's pump the brakes a little bit, and let's do it.
Yeah, because he's getting all the power, getting all the espers, all the characters, just absorbing everything. We have Possum rejoining, so
yeah, let's see what happens here.
We have one free Fitz, almost through his river ride, almost at the boss. We have Possum. I think this is the third time he's gone for this, so hopefully, third time's the charm. He'll be able to send the item. We have
technical difficulties is the real final boss of the game here.
Yeah. Technical difficulties and NPCs standing in your way are the most annoying thing. Oh. We have Possum asking the glue can see this, so hopefully...
Yeah. I don't think Possum Morpheus did what I told him to do, so... We'll see. Yeah, so there is a fun thing where you can have a setting that removes NPCs if you hit a certain button. So that's always a fun setting that you could have. The problem is that that also opens up potential sequence breaks. So that's one issue that we have yet to kind of solve here. And it looks like Possum Morpheus did send an at weapon over to Drink's glue, so that's another check for him. But
he was able to complete his vault check, which is good.
Yeah. So do we?
And then,
we still don't have that esper though.
Yeah. So he found 2 espers himself. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, listen. Maybe he's gonna have to get to 10. Everybody wants some more Worlds Collide, right?
Yeah. Just add to the challenge.
Alright, so it looks like one free Fitch just found their own Bahamut, so that is another check down for them as well.
Then on Drink's Glue's side, a nice thing about starting with Edgar, as we see him go through South Figaro, is when he's the party leader, you get big ol' sales on items, so always nice to check World of Ruin South Figaro with an Edgar start. Then we have one free Fitz coming here to Narsh, so he might be doing his Welk check. With Christopher Workin, finding out that the item is worth 60,000 at Zen Thief, which is a bit pricey.
Yeah, so that number can be different in the World of Ruin as well, so let's keep an eye on that as well, Griffin.
Yep. And then we have Possum. Looks like he is going to be doing his own opera check. Seems to be everybody's strategy of get it out early. You have to do it anyway, so might as well get the item.
Yeah, unfortunately, there is no item that you get. You just have to do it as part of the end, right? And there is nothing worse than going into Kefka's tower, getting all the way through the boss gauntlet, getting up to the statues, only to have to fall flat on your face and have him laugh at you and say, you're not ready to face me yet. So you want to make sure you get it out of the way. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a poll, and it's going to last for 10 minutes, and you can vote in the chat with what you want here. If you want us to save Sid or let Sid die. So I'm going to open up a poll for that. So you can go ahead and answer that as soon as I get it done in the Twitch chat. And it looks like we got an Air Force fight on the screen here.
Yeah, he's at his wall check doing Air Force. Air Force can be a little scary. He's either scary early or scary very late. I usually like running into him in the mid game. So we'll see if Free Fans can pop enough damage with these rods, which he's able to.
Should I allow multiple votes for spending channel points? Why not? Let's do 500 channel points per vote.
And
so you can vote at least once. I'm pretty
Fitz
sure.
is able to get his own stray.
There you go. So in the Twitch chat, it's either save Sid or let Sid die. And for the purposes of the marathon submission, this will be a donation bid war. So as part of the hype during the race, we could always hype up what the total on these sort of things are. So this will be a fun exercise. And I know when we did our race in Multithon 2024, because we were graciously selected to be part of the marathon, that this was one of the fun parts of doing the race, was seeing these numbers jump around all over the place there.
Mm-hmm. But I guess letting Sid die would be faster because you can take any fish?
No, so I think for the Sid dying, you have to feed him either slow fish or you wait for 2 minutes, because Sid will die if you do nothing for 2 minutes with him.
Okay.
If you would like to save Sid, you feed him just the faster fish, basically. That's sort of how the whole thing goes. And the weird part is the faster fish, obviously by their very nature, will be faster. So for me, it's easier to catch the faster fish than to wait for the slower ones to get over to you. So I actually think saving Sid is faster than letting Sid die. But we always have this argument in the chat over whether Sid was a war criminal and should be punished, or if Sid was really atoned for his sins by saving Celeste in the aftermath of the apocalypse from Kefka, and if he deserves some pardonship. So that's always a fun, raging debate that we get to have here.
I guess, do you like Bellas more, or do you like a boatload of espers? Because he did take out a few of those espers and stick them in vats.
Yeah, he's got a guilty conscience. Let's just say that. So it depends on how remorseful do you think he was, or do you think that he was just faking it like he made it all along, like Gestahl and Kefka before the floating continent. So that's the fun war point that everybody gets to debate. Meanwhile, Fitz is just summoning Bahamut, so that Esper that he found early on. And we do have Gold Bear for a rage, which is really nice. That is one of the better physical damage rage dealings that you can do. And it does look like Possum Morpheus did finally get their unicorn. So their team is all set and ready to go, which is good. Sometimes you just have to tear everything down and build it back up again. One free Fitz got an Atma weapon from Christopher Warkin on the Velt, so we did see that earlier from Possum Morpheus. So he's going to put the band back together here, and we'll see what he decides to do. Fitz, meanwhile, is at Kefka at Narsh, and I believe you have a samurai sighting.
Yep, we have a Scion standing up there. And so we've also found a VK and an Atma, so we'll see if the runners decide to start hunting for that offering, because both of those weapons very good with offering.
Yeah, so who's the team that has Edgar? The bottom runners? So the bottom runners do have Edgar, who does give us access to the ancient castle, in which there are 2 monster in a boxes down there to potentially snipe that offering from.
Is our monster in a box randomized in this one, or just regular chests?
So monsters in a box are shuffled amongst themselves.
Okay.
So there are no monsters in boxes in this particular seed. for this particular setting. You can do trap chests replacing normal chests, but you cannot do that with the treasure shuffle mode. I have to figure out how to implement that. That's one of the things I'm working on in behind the scenes in development. Basically, how Final Fantasy codes the chests, they can only be one type. They can only be empty, item, monster, or money. And with the treasure shuffle mode, the AP, the code will set all of the chests to items so that you could send the Archipelago items back and forth to people. So that sort of becomes a problem where you can't override the chest with monster, because then somebody might drop an item that they would be sending to somebody else, right? So it's one of those chicken and egg problems that we have to figure out.
Yeah, seems like AP just adds that extra layer of complexity to an already complex randomizer.
Yeah, but it's very fun to play with your friends, because then you can just throw things over the wall at them.
Yeah.
All right, so for Fitz, Ifrit and Shiva is not in the Opera House, but instead at the Dome of Siege, which is where Morpheus is now.
Blow through it as fast as Christopher Walken did, because we have Christopher Walken going through another nice early game check, getting all these random encounters in the Serpent Trench. No boss, so just free XP at the cost of a little bit of time.
Yeah, this early economizer there with the Grand Train lore really putting in work, you see, for the top squads here.
Yeah, you just see Grand Train, mimic Grand Train, and just rinse and repeat. That's pretty much all they need to do from the early game. Just spam Grand Train, win game.
Yeah, Grand Train is one of the most powerful spells in the entire game. It's basically it looks like the Dark Matter spell from Chrono Trigger, and it's kind of like got the same amount of power as that as well. It's a step below Bahamut Summon and Ultima, but it's still very, very good.
Yeah, and a better cast animation than Ultima. Ultima's a wee bit slow. Grand Train's slow, but not Ultima slow.
Correct. It is faster than both Bahamut Summon and Ultima, so pick your poison sort of thing. All right, what's at the end of the Serpent Trench here? We're washing up on shore, and we do get another Esper. So that is number 6 there for Christopher Walken already.
Quickly, I didn't notice that for Fitz is at up to 4 Espers too, so the power level between them starting to even out a little bit here. Not just Fitz giving all his loot to Christopher. We have a octopus in the sky down here on Fitz's side.
Yeah, I was going to say, speaking of evening out, we do have a poll in the chat. Whether or not we want to save Sid or let Sid die as one of the requirements for the Kefka unlock. You could vote as many times as your channel points have, and you know what? I'm going to pump some channel points into Save Sid. Let's make this one a little bit closer. We have 14 votes for Save Sid and 17 for Let Sid Die. So make your voice heard with your wallet, I guess. Channel points are free. But you can certainly do so.
It's found themselves a dragon horn, which I think currently has dragon boots on his Edgar. Or at least at one point he did, so he may be going for jumping Edgar.
Oh, that would be really nice.
Yeah. It'd be perfect if it was Edgar as a natural jumper, that you can maybe throw on a gauntlet, but hey, can't complain. Dragon boots, dragon horn. Solid enough build.
So Christopher Walken is heading up to the floating continent. So this is a 3-part check, so he'll get 3 rewards in this one area, but it is one of the longest checks in the game. Meanwhile, we have another 3-part check, one free Fitz, going into Cyan's Dream, which is the shortest 3-part check in the game, where you get 3 different rewards here. So our Team A over here on the left Twix, Team Left Twix, we'll call it that now, is going through the multi-part checks. Whereas Team Right Twix, after some technical difficulties, looks like they're back on track here.
Yeah. Cyan, I know a lot of people hate on him as a character, but his checks are very good.
Yeah, so speaking of checks, since we are learning about the Worlds Collide randomizer there, as Tritalk heads over to Posomorpheus's pocket there from the Colon Jinin, what are the, besides Doom, what are the checks that Cyan can give access to?
The Cyan has Doma Drain, which you're currently in, where it's a nice multi-check. Then you have if you go back to the World of Balance, you can then go back into the castle and do Doma Siege, which is just one fight done. There are grind fights there if you want, as the little soldiers run around. Or you can go to World of Ruin Zozo, and that one's nice because not only is it a free check, but there's dragon on the way. We like killing dragons.
And there's a bunch of treasure in there too.
Yeah.
Alright, so that is Posomorpheus's, looking at his tracker, it's his 5th Esper there, so let's go ahead and crank that up a little bit. So yeah, now that we have Unicorn actually on his screen, let's start to count that one a bit. And we have a Dabbing Yeti on screen for Christopher Warkin, the first of 2 bosses here at the Floating Continent. So Floating Continent is a shadow check. What are the other shadow checks besides the one that we saw for Gao Manor?
Yeah, so like you said, yeah, there's the free check in the Gao Manor, or Gao. And then there's, of course, Floating Continent, which they're doing right now, which is a nice a little bit of a longer multi-check. And then his last one is in World of Ruin on the Velt Cave. You can run in there. What's nice about that check is you can see what your reward is going to be before it's a peekable, I guess is what we call it. So you can actually see the reward before you do any fights. So it is nice for that.
Yeah, so it looks like Drinks Glue is digging in the Colosseum, so we also randomize the rewards and the enemies that you fight in the Colosseum, and we give you a little menu to kind of preview what you have to bet for what reward you have to achieve there. So it looks like he is going for an Ice Shield here from his Setzer build with that fixed dice. By the way, the poll has just concluded, and with a huge influx of votes, Save Sid has won 34-19. So it looks like our runners will be pardoning that banana-suited war criminal after all.
Yeah, that was a big come-from-behind victory for Save.
Yeah, I may have pumped some some stuff in there.
And on the left-hand side team, you can see 2 of the more annoying bosses in this.
Yeah, woof.
We got Chatternook, who can switch between 2 forms, and you only want to fight this demon side. And then you have one of the statue bosses on Fitz's side, Doom, who's he's not, I wouldn't say the hardest of the statue fights, but he can be annoying, because he does like to freeze you.
Yeah, freezing is definitely not fun. Christopher Walken falling onto the Floating Continent. So here's a thing that is different from Vanilla that I helped change there. You can get an item at the start of the Floating Continent, right? Because it can be a reward for another player. So we got that little sparkle there as an item. It's a bit smaller than the save point, so it's not as confusing, but normally runners are not used to seeing that there. It's usually a character or an esper, but Christopher Warkin will definitely take an experience egg. It would have been nice to have found that a little earlier, though.
Yeah. Nice for him. He gets a Zone C given to him as a 7th Esper from 1 through 5th, and then finds the best accessory in the game. Maybe even best item in the game. It boosts your XP, and like I said earlier, levels are king. So you definitely want to find it earlier, but hey, there's never a bad egg. Maybe unless you get it from the last meme chest, but...
Oh, yeah, for sure. Looks like Lou is selling off the farm here. It looks like he's going to buy that to Zen Thief Esper after all. And we do see, based on the chat, that it will be their own Odin. We know that, I think, One Free Fitz did buy this earlier. Yeah, that was the one with Ultima on it.
Yeah, I think he bought himself a Genji glove also, because he was at 40k, and I think I saw him buy a Genji glove, so maybe he wants to rock VK and Atma? Because he might have both.
That's a terrible combination. But we did see multiple fixed dice, which is also
okay, that would be
also a terrible combination for different reasons. So the Valiant Knife will do more damage with less HP, and the Atma weapon will do more damage at full HP. So they're not exactly the opposite of one another, but they kind of are. And then fixed dice have a damage formula that's based on the roll of the dice that you get, so it's very much RNG dependent. And it's a very long fight animation there. Eye drops for experience eggs. Let's go. So it looks like Glue is going to try this toe cutter fight again here, this time with the double fixed dice. And we'll see how long this takes to get off an attack.
RNG cooperates.
However,
RNG cooperates.
Damage. Where's Phil Swift? That's a lot of damage there. Meanwhile, Possum Morpheus does find their own shoat at the end of the Serpent Trench. And I did miss Fitz sending an Esper over to Christopher Warkin, but thankfully, my handy-dandy co-tracker, Cheech, is on top of the game. Thank you so much, Cheech, for keeping me honest here.
Then we have Warkin taking down Atmadago.
Is that vanilla? Or French vanilla?
I guess it's Atma weapon.
It's at the Atma weapon spot, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that is a vanilla boss. That will happen
scoop
sometimes.
of vanilla. I guess you gotta say the line. Is this game even randomized?
Ugh. That is randomizer trope 101 right there.
Yeah. You have to say the line. It's cheesy, but you have to.
Oh yeah, of course. Meanwhile, we have Final Fantasy VI's greatest punk band, Rhysopus and the Piranhas, here at the middle dream spot here. Did we see what was running across the Phantom Train carts?
I did not see.
Okay. Most of the time it's going to be an NPC because the chances of you getting a character in AP are a bit smaller because it can be something for the other runner. So Cheech does pipes in. It was an imp, so this will be either an Esper, an item for Fitz, or it'll be something for Christopher Warkin. Another shadow check, I think you mentioned it, right? The Cave on the Veldt, that's where Possum Morpheus is going, so we'll see exactly what the reward is. It'll either be character or Esper, and those will be for Possum Morpheus, or it'll be an NPC, so that means it's an item for himself or something for Glue. And it looks like we've got an imp again, so this might be something for Drinks Glue.
Oh yeah, I guess because normally when you're not running AP, you see an imp and you know it's an item, but I guess with AP that you can't tell for sure.
Yeah, because it is an item even if it's for someone else.
Yeah.
Alright, so Christopher Warkin, I think, just got a couple of more Espers, so he's now up to 8 of them.
Continuing the trend of bottom runners giving stuff to the top runners. It seems to be a pretty common occurrence.
Yes, of course. Unfortunately, Drinks Glue is the only runner that still has 3 characters. But, you know what? Truth be told, the other runners only have 4. What do you think, Gretham, with your 37 minutes into a seed and you've only found 4 characters thus far? It kind of constricts where you can go in the seed, right? Because of the character gating concept?
Yeah, it's kind of rude, and especially with the 4th character for the bottom team being at Kefka at Narsh. That is a check a lot of people like to leave for the end. So if it's Kefka Narsh gated, Glue could be just running around for a bit longer before he even gets his 4th character.
So one thing I did add as part of the settings here, there cannot be characters at any of the Kefka Tower checks, or the auction house, or the Tizen Thief. If you don't sort of put a plando together, you can sometimes have characters show up in some of those spots, and those are pretty gross spots to find a character, right? Especially because, like I said, the only way to get to more checks is to acquire more characters. So we don't want to have to put our runners through that. We had one practice race like that one time, and it felt bad. I had to go look at the spoiler log and everything because it was getting to be a bit ridiculous. So we decided not to do that.
Character in auction house would be awful.
Yeah, there was 2 characters actually at auction house, and that was the only way through the seed. So we decided we never want to do that again.
Yeah, makes sense. And something we did see on Christopher's side is he got himself a VK, checked the VK, only person that can equip it is Gao, who does not have the fight command.
Oh, that's a bit unfortunate. So once we find a 5th character, it'll be interesting to see if any of our runners decide to pivot to a different character because they found some of these items and their current party cannot yet equip them. So that's part of that, equipment pool. You do have a chance to equip something that you didn't in the vanilla game, but it's only a 33% chance.
Yeah, then we have Glue over here, gonna wipe the floor probably pretty quickly with Narapa, not the strongest boss.
No.
And, we see Terra getting sent over to Possum.
Well, that's not the right character. That's not the right way around. So that's going to be the result out of Daryl's tomb here. Sword Tech Terra as well. That would be nice if we found Cyan. So Cyan will unlock all of the Sword Techs due to one of those aforementioned objectives we mentioned. If you do Cyan's Dream, you get access to all of the Sword Tech.
Yeah. Because Sword Tech is...
I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
I was going to say Sword Tech's great, especially with Cyan, just because getting that 6th, 7th, and 8th Sword Techs are great. Because 8 being a great source of instant death, which is usable even on Final Kefka fight. 7 is a good way to break the damage cap if you have Vigor. And then 6 is a good magic attack, AoE magic attack. So Sword Tech's a great thing to run into with Cyan.
Alright, so it looks like Possum Morpheus is setting up for Go-Go to be swallowed by the Zone Eater to do the Go-Go one and only check. And we have MC Daddy Pants there for Christopher Walken going down in a hurry.
Ooh, that's an instant in golf. Always like to see that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can just sit there, just being spammed quarter, just never being able to get engulfed.
Yick. No thanks. Yeah, so we decided not to run with the treasure shuffle mode, just because it's a bit boring to watch people open up treasure chests and send characters and then be able to beat the game. So we decided against that. However, something that is not boring, Bretham, is we have a Magimaster on a bed of grabby noodles. Magimaster on a bed of pasta. My favorite Italian delicacy there.
Yeah, Magimaster, definitely one of the hardest bosses if you're not set up properly for it, because once you hit him once, he's going to start spamming this wall change, which will change what elements he resists and what he absorbs. So you have to find some sort of non-elemental magic or defense piercing, because he has such high defense also. So he's incredibly annoying. You can, if you do have Berserk, you can Berserk him before he gets his wall change up, which completely negates the fight. But unfortunately for Fitz here, he does not have Berserk, but Ultima, Bahamut, Grand Strain, all great ways to do non-elemental damage.
Yeah, it looks like Cyan had lore for the bottom team. Unfortunately, the Ultima is not as spammable as it is in the vanilla game, because we have increased the MP cost for Ultima to 254 in order to balance it a little bit, because it is the most broken spell in the game. However, the Bahamut summon gets Fitz through that disgusting fight there, and unfortunately it's all for just a behemoth hide to go over to Christopher Walken. That's a bit unfortunate there to not see any progression. We did see our first dragon kill of the game, though, with Drinks Glue fighting the Opera House Dragon and also getting a behemoth suit. So a lot of dead behemoths scattered around the place here, Greppin.
Yeah, and then on Drinks Glue's side, we see the poll result coming to effect here, where he is running around, grabbing fast fish, running back, giving them to Sid, and it's a grand old time. Oh, as Christopher Walken is also doing it.
Yeah, so how the save or kill Sid mechanic works is that Sid starts out with 120 HP. And every second, he ticks down 1 HP. In order to increase his health to 240 and make him back to healthy again, or actually no, it's 255, because this is Super Nintendo math we're talking about here. In order to nurse him back to health, you have to feed him the fast fish. That will increase his HP. If you'd like to let him die, you need to feed him the slow fish, and that will decrease his HP. So since he starts with 120, if you do absolutely nothing for 2 minutes, he will die just then and there. But it's obviously faster to feed him the fish that will reduce his HP. The problem is you see that really slow one takes a while to get to shore. So that's why I feel like killing Sid is actually slower than saving him. And there, Sid feels much better and is walking around now. So Christopher Warkin has completed that objective. He just needs to get one more Esper and 2 more characters, and he can head over to Final Kefka.
Yeah, because we've had a lot of our runners complete the opera, and then we've had 2 saving Sids, so a lot of them are getting the extra gates, I guess, done so that they can unlock their Final Kefka.
So for Edgar, normally you'd get Odin and then upgrade it to Raiden here in the Ancient Castle, but instead of doing 2 rewards, you just get 1 at the very, very end here in the hidden room, and you could fight this dragon, and this dragon will also drop you a reward. So 1 free Fitz is going to get 2 quick rewards in succession here after dropping this another vanilla dragon here.
With Glue also going in the same check, and we'll see if either of them decide to get the monsters in the box here. There's one on the way to the castle, and then one in the castle. We'll see if they're also hunting for offerings.
Alright, so Possum Morpheus heading through the sealed gate cave. So what I find, Gretham, when I'm playing with another person in a multi-world sort of race, is I like to balance out my long and short checks so that I'm doing, my shorter checks when somebody else maybe is doing their longer checks, and vice versa, instead of just having everybody slog through really long checks and not getting any progression at the same time. It makes it feel a little bit more like, hey, we're actually accomplishing something together here. Do you find that the same, or is it a little different for you?
I've never thought about it. I kind of just would play the way I would regularly play, but
Okay.
That does make sense. So that you're always have some sort of check being completed.
Alright, so Possum Morpheus finds Ragnarok the Esper at the end of the sealed gate cave, and drinks Glue taking down Magimaster with that 3-player party that we mentioned there. So very nicely done for him, and that will mean a behemoth suit for Possum Morpheus, which is probably less than ideal. Meanwhile, the Blue Dragon dropping a Setzer for Christopher Warkin, which is going to be really nice for them. What checks does Setzer open up for Warkin there?
So he actually has some pretty good quick checks, which is nice. He has a free check in Kolingen where you just run into the tavern, talk to somebody, boom, done, get some loot. Then he has, in the base game, when you're flying around, you have a chance of running into Doom. But in this game, we don't like having to find Doom, so we gave Setzer the ability to just... Or Doomgaze, sorry.
Yes.
He just has the ability to summon Doomgaze, so just instant boss fight, which is great. And then he has Daryl's Tomb, which is, it's an alright check. A little bit long, lots of walking, but a solid check nonetheless, and has a trap chest in it.
Yeah, we did see Zaryl's Tomb on our bottom runners, did give Terra to our top runners, so 1 free Fitz has yet to go to Daryl's Tomb, because Christopher Warkin is missing that Terra. So, but once he does, then Warkin will have his 6 characters, and it's just up to him if he can get the rest. As he's in the Magitech Factory, which is another 3-part check, but this is a Celeste 3-part check. We've seen Celeste's other 2 checks, the South Figaro Prisoner Spot and the Opera House Rat Disruption. So we're just going to round out Celeste's checks here, and we've gone down pretty much most of the paths in this seed, I think, for a lot of our runners here.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting, I guess, with AP, so a lot of the time when you're doing Magitech, you usually just go and do the first 2 checks, warp out. But I guess with AP being in effect here, they're going to be wanting to actually take that very long, slow minecart ride at the end.
Yeah, because it is either a character or esper for you, or something for your partner.
Is it guaranteed progression?
No, because it could be a dead check for your partner.
Oh, okay.
Alright, so Warkin did pick up another esper for 1 free Fitz there. That puts them up to 7 espers. But still, we are lacking in characters here, and Fitz is going to Mount Zozo, one of Cyan's checks. I think this is going to be our first look at Mount Zozo from our runners. There are, again, two checks here. There is that Storm Dragon spot, and then the Writing Love Letters spot. So we'll see another 2 quick rewards right in a row here.
And we have Phantom Train up here on Possum Morpheus' side.
Ooh.
Who...
We don't have Blitz, and wait, why did he actually kill the thing? Why did we not Phoenix down it?
Oh, we have something called the Undead Flag turned off. So, in the base game, a lot of bosses with the Undead Flag, you can just throw Phoenix down on it. It dies. But we find that too easy, so we like to turn the Undead Flag off, forcing you to actually have to fight the boss.
Alright, and that is Setzer for Possum Morpheus, so he is at 6 characters there. So in spite of the fact that he had so many technical difficulties at the beginning of the stream, he is our first runner with 6 characters. Isn't that wild?
Yep, he's getting all the characters. It's kind of a nice juxtaposition, because he has 6 characters to Glue's 3 characters. Glue still has not found his 4th character, having to go slog through everything with just 3.
And we did see on Possum Morpheus' side, some of our NPCs can be rather chatty. So we did decide to put a nice, friendly helper beginner set of dialogues into the game to help you sort of play Worlds Collide. There is a flag that you need to set this on. It's called the NPC Tips flag. I like to showcase it for marathons because, hey, most of the people are seeing this game for the first time. And just to let you know, hey, this is something you can turn on if you'd like actual in-game help. Similar to well, the hint system for A Link to the Past is more tells you where things are. This is more like mechanics of how the game plays. Like, oh, did you know that anybody can wear the Moogle charm? No, thank you very much, random dude on the street of Narsh. Appreciate that. And oh, we've got another character there at Mount Zozo.
Who's it going to be for?
That is definitely, that is Fitz's Mog there.
Oh, I guess, yeah, true, because it would be an imp or something, yeah.
And we get the music, which is the best part.
And then if somebody wanted help still, but outside of the game, where would they go?
Yeah, so you can come check out our Discord, or you can go to the Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide website and click on the wiki, and we have a pretty extensive wiki with a bunch of guides on there. But the Discord is honestly the best place to get instant help for your answers. There's a beginner's hideout, and we are not shy about sharing our knowledge and love and passion for this game that's old enough to not get charged extra to have a car rental if it wanted to rent a car.
Because there's lots of ways to get involved with the community. Like, if you need help, like, once again, just ask questions. People love to help. You can submit a VOD for review. You can get a mentor. Every once in a while, there's something called the Moogle Cup, which we pair up a bunch of new runners with mentors and do a tournament there. Great way to learn. I competed in it, and it was amazing. I learned so much. So there's lots of ways to get involved and learn the game. You don't have to just throw up a seed and struggle through it. There's lots of ways to get some help.
Alright, so Drinks Glue just picked up 2 espers in quick succession there. One from Possum Morpheus, Torado, and one from himself, Stray. And Christopher Warkin is done with the first of 2 boss fights there on the minecart ride. Was that a Magi Master in the sky from Possum Morpheus, or is that number 24? I didn't see.
Thought it was number 24.
Okay.
I could be wrong. Oh, and a flame shield.
Okay, well, I guess you can
you
get
run into.
I was wrong. You can get an item there from the last check in the Magitech factory.
Interesting, because in the in normal, in like a base game, it's something there is called guaranteed progression. There's some checks where you're either guaranteed to get a character or esper, but with AP, I guess you can get a dead check. And,
yeah.
I mean, well, flame shield's all right. You don't really want it right now.
Yeah, so the rewards differ very slightly from the multi-world game and the base Worlds Collide game. There's subtle differences, and it's hard to keep track of all of them. So my apologies for goofing that up. Difficult fight here for Fitz. Oh my goodness, 1 HP in a dream on Edgar.
Yeah, I'd be completely lost with all the AP stuff without you, so I'm happy you're here.
Alright, so Possum Orpheus jumps down on one Opera House Dragon, that is the Gold Dragon. Fitz has got the other Opera House Dragon, which is the Storm Dragon, and his party makes it through there. Very nicely done. Drinksglue, meanwhile, does find his Cyan here at Kefka at Narsh. I wonder if this is a last location or pseudo-last location for them.
Yeah. 'Cause, yeah, it's, I don't know, I guess bottom, yeah, they found Cyan, and then I guess they also found Mog through Cyan, so unless the top runners can give the bottom runners a character, it looks like it's gated through Cyan. Yeah, looking here at Glue's tracker, I guess the only thing he hasn't done is Zozo, World of Balance, and Moblez. So
Yeah, we
could be Kefka Narsh gated.
Yeah, so those are two of Terra's checks, right? Moblez, Zozo, Tower. There's also Leet River, Sealed Gate Cave, which we've seen, and what was the... Oh, Welk. Welk is the last one.
Not only is Terra great in combat, she just has a wild amount of checks, so she is a lot of people's favorite character.
Alright, so it looks like both Fitz and Possum Orpheus are following one another, but they're actually playing different seeds. So it's not actually the same thing, but they're both in the world of Ruin Narsh here. So there's two potential rewards, one with the dragon and one with Tritok Cliff. If we had Umaro, we could hop down into Umaro's cave for a third reward, but I haven't seen a Yeti anywhere yet so far.
I mean, I might say something controversial to some people, but I feel like it's better when you don't find Umaro in the seed.
Well, the thing with Umaro is he only opens up one check, and you get a free snow muffler with him, so that's really what he's best for.
Unlike some runners here, I prefer either not finding Umaro or just throwing him as a good airship pilot. So
he is a wonderful airship pilot. It looks like we can use the Atma weapon for Setzer, but he has got his double fixed dice there for now. Yeah, so question from the chat. Who has the lead at this moment? Well, it's pretty difficult to tell because the only team that currently has 6 characters is the right team, Possum Orpheus and Drinksglue. And you need both 6 characters and 9 espers to unlock Final Kefka. And it looks like that is going to be the bottleneck for this race here, Griffin.
Because like if you just go by checks, left side has done a few more checks, but once again, you can just keep running into dead checks, or just keep overloading one player, and it could take a while. Completely RNG at this point, so
Professor
no idea.
Saying thank you very much, Fitz, for that calmness protection there, Fenrir at the Ice Dragon spot.
Yeah.
So that'll be helpful, since we always know that we are fighting Final Kefka to win the game. There are certain things that we would like to counter some of his attacks that we know he's going to throw at us. One of them is called Calmness, which is an instant death spell. Well, technically it's not. It's an instant death physical special, but I digress. So having Fenrir to block that is a really nice touch. And is this the Magimaster sighting? No, this is again number 24. Darn. 24. I'm getting too excited over a mediocre boss. Although the overflow plus the Ultima. Oh no, I spoke too soon. Oh no. Oh no. Oh man. I'm just gonna be quiet for a while.
Ooh, yeah. When you confuse can be troll. Bosses you think are weak, something like number 24 we see here, something like the Phantom Train. If they throw that confuse on the wrong character, something like we saw in Ultima or an offering VK user, you can delete yourself.
It's nuff Jigglypuff, as I like to say sometimes. That is... oof. You hate to see it.
Yeah, you definitely want to avoid getting confused, getting zombied, because you can definitely wipe yourself out real quick.
Alright, so Drinksglue finishing up there at the Doma Siege, gets their own carbuncle, but gets another character, Sabin, from Possumorpheus at Tritalk Cliff. So Tritalk is a check that we like to call not character gated, so anyone can do that check. So I don't know when Questifer Warkin is going to head up to World of Ruin Narsh to do that, but that opens up a lot of possibilities now for Drinks Glue. What are some of the checks we can get to with Sabin?
Sabin has like Terra, has a bunch of checks. So, and they kind of are all in like a nice little loop, which is nice. So,
oh, no
it
way.
has...
Sabin is also at Tritalk, but in the other world. That is wild.
Man, top of Narsh has Cyan and Sabin. Like, it has Sabin twice, so just all the characters are on top of Narsh, either in World of Ruin or World of Balance.
Oh, man. Anyway, sorry to cut you off there. We were talking about Sabin checks.
Yeah, so he has the Waterfall Jump, which is nice because it heals you and just brings you straight to the boss. He has the Imperial Camp, which, not the greatest check late game like we are now, but it's really good early game because it has some grind fights. He has the Phantom Forest, which is a nice peekable check, though it is a little bit long, so you do have to run through it. You have Collapsing House, which is a free check, but also has 2 trap checks, which are nice. And then he can run up a mountain, fight a karate guy, and that's his last check.
Yeah, so in multi-world, you can't actually peek the Phantom Train caboose check. I hid that NPC away, so you can't do it in multi-world, but you can do it in the base game. So that's one of the slight differences between the two. However, I think Questifer Warkin is on the right trail here. He's in World of Ruin Narsh, so One Free Fits will get their Sabin before long here. So Questifer Warkin's already in go mode. One Free Fits just has to get another character from Warkin, and it looks like it's going to be Sabin at the Tritalk Cliff.
Yeah, so left team very close to go mode. Because has Fitz done his saving Sid? I know Quistfer did. I'm not sure Fitz did. So they might have to save Sid and then be on their way to Kefka Tower.
Alright, so Glue is going to find their Mog, so they will be in go mode here. So Possumorpheus just has to find 2 more espers after saving Sid. So this is still anybody's race. It is still very, very close.
Yeah. And final Kefka, he's a great equalizer. Sometimes he just decides to be a troll and can very easily wipe you. So even if whatever team gets to final Kefka first, it still isn't over. Because final Kefka likes to be rude sometimes.
Yeah, so here's an interesting strategy that you don't often see in the base vanilla game of Worlds Collide. Possumorpheus is hopping into Kefka's tower, and the Atmos spot and the Skull Dragon spot can both have espers there. So it's possible that his last 2 espers are actually in Kefka's tower. So he's going to go ahead and give a look-see to see if that's the case here, which is something you almost never see in the base game of Worlds Collide, because there are no espers or characters inside of Kefka's tower normally. So this is an interesting play for the right team, diving into Kefka's tower, even though one of our runners does not have go mode yet.
Because sometimes you'll see runners do their last 2 checks in Kefka Tower to get a skip, but since we're not doing skips here with checks, they aren't going to be doing that.
Alright, so this will be Terra for Questifer Warkin here, that One Free Fits just did. So that'll be character number 7. Hopefully Questifer Warkin doesn't stop and start doing Terra things, and he instead continues on this track, because like we said, this is going to be Sabin for Fitz, and it will be go mode for them.
And then we have Possumorpheus getting blown away from his fight, which unfortunately means no XP.
However, they did find their own Shiva, so that's 1 more Esper towards their goal, which is pretty fantastic.
I guess they have, 3 more shots here to get Possum and Esper? So they're hoping. Because this would bring them forward a lot, because they're already clearing through Kefka Tower, so it's a very smart move.
Right, and with Sabin going over to 1 free fits, that is left team in go mode. Or 1 Quay Warkins versus the Drink Morpheuses. I don't know, we're combining words on the spot here.
I mean, it works. Yeah, and we see Christopher going into his Kefka tower.
Yeah, so this is going to be a more traditional tower as you see them split the party up. You with 2 of your characters from your main party in the 3rd group, and then the other 2 characters spread across group 1 and group 2. So you will be at your most vulnerable here in Kefka's Tower in any Worlds Collide seed. So we've got to make sure that we have enough firepower to take on something in each of these 3 lanes. So that's how you should distribute sort of your party. And it looks like 1 free fits is finally going to go for the opera. Nope, you got to go backstage. There we go. And we could all take a listen finally at the opera music here while Possum Morpheus finds out if he's in go mode or not.
Yeah, because Kefka Tower is a scary place because the right side team is going to be fighting 3 bosses, and then the other 2 are going to be fighting 1 boss. And you're going to be, like you said, so split up. So if you run into something like Doomgaze, who likes to cast Doom, when you only have 1 character there, it could be a rough time.
Yeah. In the vanilla game, you kind of have your power spread out a little bit more because they force you to pick different characters at different times, but... Alright, so that is the middle lane clear for Possum Morpheus. We'll see if he dives back into the tower at the regular entrance and decides to take on that other dragon there, because that's the last piece of progression that can be inside of Kefka's Tower. Because the Inferno spot, the Guardian spot, and the 3 statue spot don't drop a reward.
We have Possum Morpheus going back in to do that dragon. So I guess they're just hoping that one of these checks is going to give him his last esper, but even if it doesn't, they're going to have to clear these bosses anyway, so might as well get them out of the way.
Absolutely. Alright, it doesn't look like Christopher Warkin is stopping at anything here. He's just going to do the tower. This is about a 4.5 minute or so cutscene for 1 free fit, so he's going to be a couple of minutes behind Warkin in the tower trek. But remember, both runners have to finish here. This is a team-oriented thing, and the more time the earlier Christopher Warkin finishes, that puts the pressure on the team of Drinks Glue and Possum Morpheus to finish as well.
Yeah, because we take the average, or I guess total really doesn't matter because there's only 2, but yeah.
Right.
Whichever team time is better is the winner. So it's not, you can't just, when you're in go mode, you just go finish the game because you need your partner to also finish.
Yeah. And one important thing to note for this race is we disabled the release of items when you beat Kefka. So in other words, what can happen in some AP worlds is when Final Kefka gets beaten, then you release all of the items that you have left in your world. That's not the case in this race. We've disabled release. So somebody can't just go finish Kefka and then give everything to their partner, right? You have to make sure that your partner is able to finish the game before you finish the game. Yep, I'm glad I already anticipated a question in the chat.
You're a prophet, you know when the questions are coming.
That's it. I apparently don't know when when overflow is coming, but questions from the chat I'm fine with. All right, so that is strike 1 for Possum Morpheus there. Only got a cat hood from the Skull Dragon. So will they go back and fight, or will they fight Atma and Gold Dragon, or are they going to continue on through Kefka's Tower here? Remains to be seen.
Because they were lucky in that first boss fight, Possum got Shiva, but they've gotten 2 dead checks after that, unfortunately.
Yeah, this is the gamble you play when you jump into Kefka's Tower without your requirements. It makes for a much more interesting race, I'll tell you that. So thank you guys from a viewer standpoint, for sure.
Yeah, everybody's here on their edge of their seat, seeing what they're going to get.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. What are these dinosaurs doing with this, beginning of the game boss here, Gretham.
Yeah. So yeah, we see here this is one of the earliest boss of the game. And normally he comes with 2 very weak Lobos. So we're like, that's too easy. We're gonna randomize this, and then you get a case like this where instead of wolves, he has dinosaurs.
I kind of like that better. Like Narsh is just hoarding dinosaurs and espers in their little mountain town.
Yeah, I think that initial Narsh invasion might have gone a little bit differently if Narsh could have sent a horde of dinosaurs on them.
Alright, so Fitz is done with the opera now. I believe that puts them in go mode. Because they did the... did they do the save Did they do the save, Sid? I'm not quite sure. It's hard to tell.
I think Fitz saved, but I'm not sure. Because I remember the top left and the bottom right do it at the same time. Oh, interesting. I've never thought of doing that, where Glue took one of his other party members,
Yeah.
opened all the gates, and then ran backwards to get to the dragon.
Yep, this is something you can definitely do.
Interesting.
So you could walk back and take the dragon and then the Atma spot. So let's hope for their sake that we find an esper here in either Glue's last dragon or Posomorpheus' last dragon or the Atma spot. Otherwise, ooh, what do? I guess you're set up to warp out of Kefka's tower anyway, right? Because you have your full party. You can't possibly finish Kefka's tower if you're in Drinks Glue's state, so you're going to have to warp out either way. So I guess this is fine here.
Yeah, and they don't have any super quick checks, it looks like. Maybe the auction house.
Yeah.
Maybe Zozo, like, for Glue. So they're really hoping here that they're able to get an esper here for Possum.
Yeah, so the problem is Drinks Glue can do some peekable checks, but he has no idea. Even if it says, you know, do you want this Archipelago item? He doesn't know what that is. He just knows it's something for Posomorpheus. And unfortunately, that is strike 2 for Possum, finding just a flame shield at their own dragon. So Glue has got to fight this Atma spot and hope that this is an esper, or we're going digging for additional checks. It does look like Fitz did not do his Saving Sid quest yet, so we're going to see him do that here. Posomorpheus, meanwhile, is going to continue onwards through Kefka's tower and just finish this middle lane here with his full party. This makes sense, because then when he comes back in the tower, he doesn't have to put a character on this lane at all. He can just split his team 2 and 2 and 0, right? So makes sense for him to finish this out here while he's already there. And oh my goddess for Drinks Glue.
She's definitely one of those more annoying bosses if you like to use the fight command, because she likes to essentially make you fall in love with her and take all the fight commands for her. So there are ways to get around it with, let's say, an offering, but sometimes you run into her in the tower when you only have one character and they're swinging a Ragnarok. So she can definitely mess with you in the tower.
So what you're saying is Goddess can turn you into a simp army, essentially.
Eventually, yeah. I mean, as included here, you can steal a Minerva, which is great if somebody can equip it. But she does like simps.
Alright, so Quester for Workin is down with the... Oh my goodness!
He's making the meme chest!
Validation chest experience egg. GG's, everybody. I've finally done it. Oh, man. And of course, this is followed by one of the easiest bosses in the game, Leader. And unfortunately, Atma is just a Thunder Shield, so it looks like, Gretham, we're going to have to start taking some more checks outside of Kefka's tower.
Yeah, that was 1 Esper into 5 dead checks.
Yeah, that feels just oof. We do have, so for Posomorpheus, looking at his tracker, he can go and peek at Mobliz to see if it's an Esper. And he can go... Where else can he go peek? He can peek the auction house, and if it says glowing stones, then he knows that he can get himself an esper there. But other than that, he's looking at Yik, Floating Continent, Magitech Factory.
Yeah, maybe do Magitech Factory and hope one of the first 2 checks give you that esper. Not the greatest. If Glue hops out of the tower, he could go to World of Ruin, Zozo, do a dragon, do the free check there for 2 quick checks.
Yeah, so let me open up this log here. So what happens? So Mount Zozo is Mog and a Force Shield, so it's not going to be that. He already did Mount Zozo, I think, because we already have a Mog, right? He's got Mog in his team? Yes. So he can't do Mount Zozo, but he can do Zozo Tower, Terra check. Alright, so that is the third of 4 bosses here in the gauntlet done for Christopher Warkin, and he is almost ready to go up against Final Kefka. Meanwhile, One Free Fitz, after completing his side quests here, his side hustles, if you will, has put the app down and is now ready to go to work.
Yeah, he was the opposite of everybody. Everybody seemed to try and get the Opera House and saving Sid out of the way right away, but Fitz is like, no, we're gonna get Go mode, then I'll save Sid. Which, I mean, is working out for them so far.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn on it because you know you have to do it at some point, and at the end of the race, you really feel the time more so than at the beginning of the race, right? At the beginning of the race, you're like, oh, you know, I have to do my looting and shopping and blah, blah, blah. At the end of the race, you're just like, I want to go. How do I go fast? How can I get faster? Why is this boss not dying, right? So it's sort of a mental game. Even though it's the same exact amount of time, it feels like longer. And oh no, this is a potential pitfall here. Tritalk at the apex of the middle lane here. For Glue. Thankfully, he's got Atma Weapon and Fixed Dice, both of which ignore defense, but Tritalk can only be damaged by non-elemental or defense ignoring or fire damage. So thankfully, we have enough here from Drinks Glue, but One Free Fitz's party, meanwhile, is split up. So we do not know if Fitz can take this on appropriately. So this is a developing story. Stay tuned. More at 11 o'clock.
Splitting up your party, much faster, because you only have to dive the tower once, but definitely a lot scarier, since who knows what bosses will show up in which lane to mess with your party setup.
Alright, so now we have a race against time here. It is Ken Drinks Glue and Possum Morpheus find one more esper for Possum Morpheus before basically One Free Fitz finishes the game, because Christopher Warkin is going to most likely beat everybody, as I commentator curse him now. But he's going to be the first to fight Kefka here in just a moment. And Possum Morpheus and Drinks Glue have got to go find him another esper. Illumina for Revivify is a really nice trade in the Coliseum there.
Yeah, so which part of Kefka have you cursed Christopher with to wipe them?
Oh, I don't know. He's got Fenrir, so he'll be fine for tier 3. And I think Fenrir had mute on it as well, so tier 2 is not going to be that big of a problem. So
I don't know. Maybe an unlucky zombie into an Ultima or a swing with some attacks.
Alright, so it looks like we did see an NPC outside of the collapsing house, so this could possibly be an esper for Possum Morpheus, but unfortunately we already have the chat up, and it is not. It is Drinks Glue getting their own esper. So that is a very quick check for Drinks Glue that he couldn't unfortunately cash in on. What other quick checks does Glue have as I'm looking here? He's got Lone Wolf, Moogle Defense, Barren Falls. So those are all pretty fast ones, I would say.
Oh. Ooh. Found a Magicite for himself.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And then we have Christopher Warkin starting his Kefka fight here at around 1:18:30. Another question we like to ask the chat when people start their final Kefka fights is, how long is this fight going to take? An average, like a decent Kefka fight, maybe around like 10 minutes, maybe a little bit quicker if you have a lot of offense. But put your guesses in the chat. How long do you think it's going to take Warkin here to finish off this last fight?
Yeah, let's go with 847. I'm feeling frisky here. Okay, we do have X-Zone as well, so we do have all of the things you would want for the final Kefka fight, I believe. It's just a matter of execution here.
For this first tier, the close arm, we call it the long arm, is susceptible to instant death. So that's why he's using X-Zone, because much faster just instant death something rather than take it down. And then once you take that arm down, you usually want to aim for the head. Something about a Avenger reference there. But it's weak to fire, and you want to take it out second, because if it's the last one to die, it casts Quake.
Alright, so Possum Morpheus did peek what was in Mobliz, but I didn't see what it was. I don't know if you saw Gretham, or maybe our eagle-eyed Cheech maybe took a gander at it.
I did not see. You'd hope it would be an Esper if he's doing it, but who knows. And then unfortunately...
Ooh. It's an AP item, so it's something for Drinks Glue. Which, yeah, I mean, it could be a character for Drinks Glue, but at this point, like, what characters would you want? Maybe Locke or Realm, because they have some pretty fast checks.
Yeah. Maybe Slaven for Collapsing House, because it's a free check, even though it's a little bit longer. Edgar for his castle. Already. Oh, true, because he's... yeah, sure. I guess maybe he...
Yeah.
It's an AP item, not his own, yeah.
Alright, that's another Esper for the wrong person there at Barren Falls for Drinks Glue. So the search continues, Gretham.
Yeah, this last Esper is not cooperating.
Yeah, Christopher Walken only has 9. It's not like he got a surplus of them either, right? So...
Yeah. We have Christopher taking down Tier 1 of Kefka. Why don't you take us through what Tier 2 of Kefka can do?
Yeah, so Kefka Tier 2 has got 4 different parts. We have got that one all the way on the left in the ponytail, pointing out to the left. That's magic. Only casts magic spells, as the name implies. But hilariously can be muted, so we're going to see mute come out, yep, and that will neutralize magic. Christopher Walken did just cast it on the wrong thing, so hopefully he fixes that. Yep, there we go. The thing in the middle is tools. That can be instant death, does sort of Magitech type commands. The blue guy there, his name is Hit, and as the name implies, he punches things. And will counter with 10 hits, which is 10 punches. It's not really all that big of a deal, unless you don't have that much HP or have really bad armor. And then Tiger will do all sorts of nasty spells once he gets below a certain HP threshold. Can turn your characters into zombies, can freeze them, just some not fun, nasty stuff. So, and can act up to 2 times per turn, which is also pretty brutal as well. So the order of operations is usually mute magic, instant death tools, kill Tiger, kill Hit, heal up, and then beat magic up.
Yeah, definitely want to get that Tiger out of the way as soon as you can. Definitely a pretty easy, or pretty evil part of Kefka.
Alright, so Possum Morpheus, I think, took a wipe to Guardian, which is not fun as an in-game boss. Guardian is already pretty chunky, but these levels are starting to get very high. Remember, it's the number of checks times 2, so this is a level 34 Guardian now, coming straight at Possum Morpheus' face.
Oh, he gets it down this time, so we'll
so we'll see what the reward is for Glue.
Yeah, we have Glue working his way through Imperial Camp. I mean, he gets a realm.
Ooh, okay. So that was one of the characters I was saying would be nice to find, because Realm has one very fast check in Esper Mountain. So perhaps we'll go there after this Imperial Camp. And we'll see after this battle, if we find an NPC sprite, this could potentially be something for Possum Morpheus here.
Possum here going to Daryl's tomb, which... Is it a character? Or am I'm not sure.
Let's see.
For some reason in my mind I feel like it's character, but who knows.
Thankfully I have the chat Daryl's tomb is Raiden for the bottom player. So, unfortunately, this is not going to be... This is not going to be it, folks.
And unfortunately, it is a Aura Lance from Imperial
no.
Camp.
Okay, so remember I said Tier 2 wasn't going to be a problem. Well, have a look at Christopher Walken's.
Yeah.
We got 3 frozen and 1 frozen zombie.
Yeah.
Oh, do we not have any Revivify? Oh, no.
Oh, no. So, when you said commentator curse...
So the decision has to be made here. So how the final boss fight works is that any characters that are either dead or zombied on the transition from one tier to another, you have to leave them behind, and another player from your bench comes in to substitute. Now, normally this isn't a big deal because you have a large cast of characters. It's fine. I want a fresh new character. However, in Worlds Collide, you have not been using those characters all game. So your fresh meat off the bench is likely to be a very, very bad character. So, Christopher Walken has a decision to make here. Do I keep going and lose Gao and do the rest of this fight with only 3 characters, or do I reset now and take the time loss? We already know that 1 Free Fitz is not yet at Final Kefka, right? So he's got some time to burn. However, finishing earlier will give his team a better time, but oh no, Celeste just got bodied as well.
Yeah, having these 3 frozen characters is rough.
Yeah,
well,
yeah, that is
yeah.
that. Yep. There you go. That is. All right. Well, I'm going to be quiet for the rest of the game here.
Yeah. Oh, and then we have
So Raiden
Glue finding his favorite character over here in Esper Mountain. Not what he's looking for, but is he going to take the Yeti?
Oh God. I mean, Yeti does open up a check. He's already been up to the World of Ruin Narsh, though.
Oh, is he taking Yeti?
No, he's not. Oh my God, Blue, you madman.
He is the leader of the Save the Umaro Foundation, where he wants to take Umaro and bring it back to its rightful place in the active party, but it's a little scary sometimes with Umaro in the active party.
Meanwhile, Possum Morpheus has given up on life and chosen one of the 3 triple checks, the floating continent.
Oh, no. Because now, like, even, I guess, so that means if Glue happens to get his Esper, Possum's gonna, I guess you could just reset out of it, but, because he's stuck up there until he completes the check, so hopefully he has a save outside of it.
Yeah, that's correct. So if Possum Morpheus resets, what will happen is when he loads the game, the reward will get sent to him from the other player, even if, it happens. So you'll get the reward from the other player when you reload the game.
Okay, that's good.
Alright, so 1 Free Fitz now, stepping up to the plate here against the final boss.
And, I mean, see if he's still cursed, or if it was just a one-time commentator's curse.
Well, my 851 is certainly not going to happen anymore.
Yeah, I think everybody's guesses are going to be a little bit off.
Yeah. Throw a 1 in front of that number.
Yeah.
Oh, so Glue didn't do the World of Ruin Narsh. Okay. So this is good. So it is good that he went and got Umaro then.
Yep, that works out.
Speaking of Umaro, dabbing Yeti for Possum there. So the only thing that will happen if Possum Morpheus decides to reset upon getting Fenrir here from Drinks Glue, which will put him in go mode, is he doesn't get to keep all of these levels that he's accumulated. In Worlds Collide, when you either die or reset, you don't get all the levels back. So it's up to Possum here. He may decide to take the next boss and continue through Floating Continent all the way to the airship point. It's going to be a couple minutes. I would just reset, but there it is. Unlock Final Kefka complete.
Well, and he seems to be sticking with it.
Yeah, maybe he doesn't realize that if you reset, it's fine. Because remember, we did have technical difficulties from them at the beginning of the race, so maybe they're a little bit on edge here compared to normal.
Yeah, scary to reset if you aren't sure if you're going to keep that last Esper when you've been hunting it for so long.
That is correct, yes. Well, especially now that Drink School's like, screw you guys, I'm going home, and hitting the tower.
Fortunately for Christopher, he takes another reset on Kefka, so
Uh-oh.
your curse is lasting here.
Well, yeah. So about that,
It is a prolonged
I'm
curse,
never volunteering ever again.
not just a one-time curse.
Well, listen, this is going to be a close race after all, even though Possum Morpheus is stuck on the floating continent.
Yeah, because normally you like to use shout or break and turn long arm into stone, but Tier 1 return the favor and put at least 2 of Christopher's party to stone, so he just decided to take the reset.
Yeah, I did see that he had some remedies. However, so remedy will work against petrified, but remedy is not going to work against zombies. So he has to be very careful in tier 3, or tier 2 rather, to not run into the same problem that he ran into just on one of the previous iterations.
Yep. We'll be here on tier 2 for Fitz, maybe see if that commentator's curse propagates through the team or not. Keep this race interesting.
Don't you put that bad juju out into the world there, Drek.
I mean, we're not running. I feel like we like bad juju as people who are watching the race. It's always, when I'm running the seed, give me those nice easy seeds. When I'm watching a seed, as hard as it can be.
Well, the people did vote to save Sid. I think there are some compassionate Final Fantasy VI fans out there, after all.
Well, as somebody who voted for Kill Sid because he's a war criminal, I want hard seeds. Give me chaos.
Alright, so we are seeing... you can get off of the floating continent here, but you have to go basically all the way almost to the second check to get to the airship thing right here. And you can jump off at the airship here if you say yes to return. Now, in case you're wondering, if you ever want to come back onto the floating continent, you choose it from the dialogue and it will bring you back to the first part of the floating continent. You do not have to do all those fights all over again. You don't have to do the 3 fixed encounters and the 2 bosses. It just drops you off at the beginning of the floating continent where that first save point is.
Okay. So you see Possum coming in here to his tower. So they will be getting through his tower quicker because they have taken out a bunch of the bosses. So
yeah, so
see how quickly they can get through the
right-hand
last statues.
side only has to defeat the side statues, right? Nothing in the middle.
Because they did come in and clear out the bosses earlier.
Yeah, so the problem is it's going to take them about 4 to 5 minutes to get there. And by that time, our runners will be well into their Kefka fight. I'm not going to say anything else more than that.
Well, maybe a zombie? Maybe some freezes?
Just stop.
Well, we can see here in chat the killer save Sid. That's our plan, is for it to be a donation war, and then earlier we had a poll for this run, which somebody may have flipped the vote a little bit.
Listen,
Don't know who that was.
I just wanted to even it up a smidge. It was like 8 for save and 17 for kill, so I went to like 13 for save, and then somebody was just like, here's my money.
Here is all of my channel points. I would like to save Sid, please.
Yeah, I have 52,000 channel points. I very easily could have swayed the vote one way or the other and chose not to.
That's what
happens when you're a frequent viewer of the channel.
I'm only over here with 23k, so I couldn't compete. I couldn't save Kill Sid option.
Alright, so Drinksglue is already back at the switches here while we were babbling on, and both Quay and Fitz are still on tier number 2, which is arguably the biggest time sink of all of the tiers here. Not only because it has 4 different parts, but just due to the sheer annoyance of moves that come out from this particular tier in general. We do have the fire spell, which will unfreeze our party, thankfully.
Yeah. Okay.
That is the only way to get rid of the free status is to use fire on yourself. Little Genji Glove sniper action there on Celeste. Love to see it.
Yep. Sniper, a great item when it can proc on flying enemies. Does lots of damage.
Yeah, so now that Tiger is gone, everything else in this final boss is floating. The 3 other parts of Tier 2, the 2 parts of Tier 3, and of course Kefka.
And we have 1 free Fitz coming up here to Tier 3. This is what we were talking about earlier, about having calmness protection, because the one on the right, Spleep, he likes to cast Meteo and a bunch of AoE, but when he dies, he counters with calmness. He can do it 1 to 2 times, and it is, as you said before, a physical special, so you want to have that either like Golem, Phantom, Fenrir, some way to dodge it.
Oh boy!
And then
a party-wide Merton there to open. Yeah, other very just difficult spells that Sleep will throw out.
Yeah, likes to throw out Whirlwind also. You can see here him using Ultima because girl on the left, she likes to cast White Wind and heal, so you want to get rid of her, but she does absorb every element. So you have to do non-elemental damage or just use a fight command. So you want to take her out first.
Speaking of Pearlwind, there we go. Very nice
Pearlwind
heads-up strategy for healing the party. Dump all of your healing onto the one character, and then Pearlwind basically heals your party for the amount of HP of the caster. So nice heads-up play there from Fitz. Yeah.
Why Pearlwind when you can Mugu Mugu?
Well, unfortunately, Mugu Mugu only heals for about 53, so
yeah.
We're gonna have to do about 40 turns of that. And ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how long this Tier 3 takes, because the Condemn's getting a little bit low.
Yeah, so Fitz does not have Fenrir, and is instead using Life 3 as a Calmness mitigator. So basically, Life 3 is re-raise, so even if Calmness does hit once, your character will get back up. And I'm going to stop there before I say anything else.
You have a question. I've never seen it before, but is it possible?
Yes. The answer is yes. And it's
I guess I will bring that. I won't say anything until after.
That's why I cut you off real quick.
That'll be nice in this case. So he is getting down to 5 seconds on that condemn.
Oh boy.
So he might be just letting it.
Out comes the Meteo, and Setzer's hit the deck, so he used those Life 3, so now that Life 3 status is no longer on Setzer. And we're going to leave that at that. But Sleep is under 10,000 HP, and now that he's dead, oh, of course!
He said his name!
Oh my!
Impressive commentator curses tonight.
Let's pour one out for Setzer in the chat there. Oh man. Well, I think losing one of your characters to Calmness is not terrible. Losing 2 of them can be very difficult to overcome. Drinks Gloom, meanwhile, watch out. He is stepping up to the Kefka bat right here as well. And oh, that is a party-wide Meteo. And unfortunately, Christopher Warkin got hit with Train, which is a disaster because unlike in Vanilla, the evade bug has been fixed in Worlds Collide. So that means your fight commands will miss a lot more often, and you can't cast any spells. So he did have to waste a turn clearing that status to use the Grand Train here, and Calmness is going to miss because of that image status that he's got. So we are off to final Kefka here with his full party intact. However, Gogo is looking pretty damaged, and he's got to clear a lot of status elements before he can even do damage to Kefka.
Yeah, Tier 3 is very rude, because when he's less than 10,000 HP, he can counter with Meteo and then Train. And Train is a very rude skill, just giving you Mute and Blind are the big ones, but does it give you anything else? I always forget.
Yeah, that's it. Meanwhile, Fallen 1 coming out from the last phase here, Final Kefka. That's what his first turn always is, handy to have a Mega Elixir around. And he has 62,000 HP. You'll start countering if you get him under half HP. Things like Hyperdrive and Havoc Wing, which is basically an insta-kill for one of your party members. will charge up for his ultimate ability called Goner, and during that time he does not counterattack. He will also counterattack when under 10,000 HP with Ultima. So that's the thing we have to be very, very careful of, because Cyan might be able to survive one Ultima, but the rest of One Free Fits' party cannot survive an Ultima.
Yeah, you gotta be careful with Tier 4. You don't want to have too many inputs going, which could run into some nasty counters.
Alright, so here's the charge up for Goner. So we get one turn to pump as much damage as we can into Kefka without a counterattack, and then Goner will come out, which will probably deal around 1,500 to 2,000 per person, depending upon what kind of gear they have. So we're going to have to regroup our party a little bit here, and then it's deciding whether or not we want to attempt a potential counterattack. Meanwhile, Christopher Workin here gets a shadow up in the air right before the Goner here. So it looks like he's going to do some things like maybe throw some shields. No, he still has to heal up his party from the train prior to that. And Possum Morpheus has also started his final fight. So Fitz here going through the stage of trying to heal up and just does not have enough there for that Ultima, unfortunately. Cyan comes down, and time is when you hear the first flash of Kefka.
Oh, bring back Sabin.
Oof.
Ooh.
Thankfully, we've got the life too. Goddard going off on Christopher Workin's screen. So he's going to have to be careful here because two of his party members are going to fall down, which could prompt a Kefka counterattack. So he has to be very cautious about his next couple of moves.
Fight.
Here.
Any counters? No. Oh, and then a Grand Train. Ooh. It's scary. See if there's any counters.
Alright, ooh, quad nines, very nice. Oh my goodness,
Oh,
double flash! No way! Oh my!
Wow.
So here's what the race room says. One free fits, 140.50, and 50 hundredths of a second, or I guess that's thousandths of a second. And then Christopher Workin is 140.50 and 187 microseconds. So they are off by 137 microseconds. That is, talk about a synced up team there, folks. Holy cow.
Makes it easy to figure out the average time.
Yeah, thanks guys. Way to make it easy for us. So we'll have them join in our group. I'll drag them in here. As we do congratulate Team Left Twix, Christopher Workin and One Free Fits, aka One Free Workins. So how about that, guys? You timed this perfectly.
Literally.
Yeah, that was the plan all along, was to finish at the same time.
That's wild. Absolutely wild. I don't think I've ever seen that before. So tell us a little bit about your strategy for a multi-world sort of flag set here. It's a little bit different than what we're normally used to playing, although the game mechanics are exactly the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this was the first one that I've done with the teams where the scaling was based on the checks and not progression. So it wasn't as much close communication necessarily to because we weren't sending each other scaling.
Right.
So it's a little bit more, I think, laid back, and it's always just nice to have a teammate that it's like, oh, where did I say that thing was earlier? Like, that's another brain that maybe remembered something that was in a shop that you heard or something like that. And so because of that, I know I was really going for freebies pretty hard early, since I didn't have to worry about loading up my teammate if the progression randomness was lopsided, which it was for a while. I was kind of a little bit behind in the terms of the stuff, but shook out in the end. And I think I had some interesting offense to work with, but yeah, it's a good time.
And then Christopher Workin, how about you? What was sort of your strategy to getting through this seed here?
It was having done a couple of these before. I kind of leaned on that a little bit. Talking about, okay, so these are our starting characters. Kind of here's plotting out the first maybe 5-10 minutes of looting, initial checks, and objectives. Trying to be as efficient as possible. It all goes according to plan until you actually start executing, and then it's all into the wind, right?
Yep.
So, but we were able to, or at least I was able to do so, to a fair degree. I mean, getting Shadow early put a minor wrinkle into it, but otherwise I was able to follow the plan pretty closely.
Yeah, so was sort of the strategy between you guys, let's get one of us over the finish line as quickly as possible. I noticed Christopher Workin, as soon as you got your go mode, you went into Kefka's tower basically immediately, because Fitz also had his requirements, but not necessarily his quests done. And you just were like, well, the earlier I finish, the better it's going to be for our team time.
It was, let's make sure both of us have our character and esper requirements done, and then whoever's go, because the opera and the Sid objectives aren't going to, are just, you can go do them at any point in time, whereas and aren't dependent and can't be helped by the other person. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So both of us will keep looking and doing checks until we're both at character esper objective, and then we go.
Yeah, Drinks Blue swiping a Mega Elixir from Final Kefka, which is always some good game knowledge there. So I think, Gretham, you had asked me a question about when do you do sort of your quests for Go mode. Do you want to sort of ask Fitz about his strategy about it?
Yeah, we were just talking about if you prefer to get your opera and your saving Sid out of the way first, just to get it over with, or what is your thought process about doing it later? Like, I know it's the same time, but which do you prefer?
No, that's a good question. I think in like a solo race, I'll just try to do them right out of the gate, or right before I go into Kefka. But in this case, like, Christopher Workin had Celeste, and so we were like, well, if you're gonna go there for Opera House, check, you might as well just do it while you're there, not make 2 trips. So there's a little bit of like, if I'm in the area, I want to do it, but then when I got behind, Christopher Workin was able to go do Sid to just like buy time for me to find another character when the checks started running a little bit lower. So I think it can be like strategically used where it's like, well, I'm running low, let me go do that and see if a character comes in the meantime.
So while we were getting that, another it was not nearly as synced as the two of you guys, but 1:46:35 for Glue and 1:47:19 for Possumorpheus. I think Glue has like a 30-second delay on his stream, so it made it look like it was 4 seconds apart. So that is another wild finish there from our right runners. So this is a marathon submission for Multithon 2025. We were graciously a part of the 2024 marathon, which I thought was a heck of a lot of fun. So I'll ask you both individually, Quest for Workin, what do you like about doing Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide in sort of a marathon setting? Why do you like this particular game so much for this randomizer?
So this game is... So Final Fantasy VI is the best game ever made, period, hands down. If you think I'm wrong, fight me.
Whoa.
I know, wild opinion here.
Yeah.
But I know, seriously, I know, hot take. Coming out of left field there. But I've always loved the vanilla game. had it on cartridge back in the day on console. Loved it. Bought like every iteration on PC that I think has ever come out. I think, but honestly, best game ever made. That's honest opinion. And then just to be able to add in the randomizer, the replayability, is just amazing. And then putting it into being able to multiplayer it is just even better. I couldn't ask for more.
Yeah, well said. Fitz, any other things you want to add there?
Yeah, it's just a lot of fun. I think this is a little bit different of a type of race, just with like the connected worlds, but still being able to watch between like the paired seeds. Like I don't know, I want to watch back and kind of see if we took some different paths, because a lot of times that's something that pops up. I got to showcase a couple of, I think, classic sort of worlds collide moments, which was ultimating my own party when I had that was queued up and I got muddles, and I was just like, oh.
Yay overflow.
And then I was like, watch this on the next fight, I won't do it, and then they won't do it, and I didn't even get a turn before they went, and they just punched me. So it was like, yeah, okay, classic. And then like Doom froze me. It froze my like best character right away. I was like, cool, we're doing this too. But yeah, it's just a really good time, and it's racing it is a hobby that I really enjoy, and I get a lot of joy out of doing it for good causes on a stage for the entertainment. So yeah, it makes it like I was like, well, at least I feel like a lot of people will get a kick out of this, watching me destroy my own party so efficiently.
It was very efficient. And it's always fun. It's entertaining for the watchers, maybe not so much for the racers, right? Is that what you were saying before, Gretham?
Pardon me? I did not.
I said it was entertaining for the viewers, not so much for the racers. I think that's one of the things you were talking about before.
Yeah, as somebody, when you're doing the race, you hope for the easy seeds. When you're watching the race, you hope for chaos. Which, I mean, somebody injected a little bit more chaos than other.
My bad, guys. My bad. If your seed was affected by my curses. So, Team
or your KT fights.
Team Boko Chocobo's Flight School. Thank you so much for running the race for us. Can't have the races without the runners. Congratulations on your 137 microseconds apart on your dot duns. Really, really incredible stuff there.
Yeah, pretty wild considering we didn't even run the same seed, right?
Considering we didn't run the same seed?
Correct,
That's just crazy sauce.
Yep. So, all right, well, thank you so much for running, and we'll pass it on over to the other team here. Team Different Opinions on Umaro. You could say that again. Drinks Glue, finding Umaro late in the game, sticking him in the party, taking him through to final Kefka. So we'll start with you. What's sort of your strategy around sort of these type of multi-world runs with where you can find things for your partner and vice versa?
I think the best approach is just to hammer through stuff as quickly as you can, because progression is anywhere and everywhere, whether it's for you, for your possum, or your teammate in this scenario. So whatever you can do to find yourself, get going. Normally in these type of flags, the Coliseum isn't needed, but because you maybe are going to do a lot more looting because you're going to be visiting a lot more places, that's why I happened to stop by the Coliseum. It's pretty fortunate to find experience eggs for eye drops in there.
Yeah, that is a really nice spike that you had. Although it took you maybe a fight or two to get there. You eventually got there.
One or two.
We will. Who's counting though? And Possumorpheus as well. Sorry about the technical difficulties at the beginning of the stream, but that's bound to happen whenever you're plugging in this much tech into one place at one time. But you guys still finished that really strong. So give us a little insight of your strategy when doing sort of these multi-world games here.
Yeah, kind of the same as what Glue said. It's about aggressively checking what you have available. Taking the power that you have and trying to leverage it, and finding, like the early economizer, having lore with Grand Train meant that the first 10, 12 checks that I have to do are solved basically with hit the Grand Train button and hit the Mimic button. And then on top of that, it was like, okay, well, I mean, let's try to find maybe a fight or two. And, part of that was also trying to find extra fights to balance with the tech testing in the background to make sure that we were connected properly as a team. But finding like the early levels in Opera House were incredible. The Chaos Dragons and Brontours, and it was like, okay, well, we're just going to push the button harder and just have all the levels there. The one thing that Glue kind of mentioned was normally like Coliseum is not really a big thing because you're going to find power on top of that. In this particular seed, Revivifies for Illuminas on my end. If I do that early, man, oh man, are we off to the races in this. Like, I'd have been able to power through a lot of stuff a lot faster rather than waiting for those silly triangles. But Glue kind of hit the nail on the head that it's about getting your partner some steam and vice versa and just kind of playing off each other, which I think we did relatively well given what we had. We just couldn't find that last esper for me to save our collective lives, which is a bit sad.
Yeah, always love to see the usually not seen in base Worlds Collide where progression could potentially be inside of Kefka's Tower, right? Like, normally that's not the case. When you do that, you're normally fishing for like a skip, but in this case, you are fishing for some actual progression in there. So, pretty neat to see. Gretham, you got any questions for our team Right Twix?
I guess just a question for Glue. You got Umaro super late. Any thoughts to get rid of the Save Umaro Foundation, or were you just always going to take him?
It was absolutely a bummer to find him so late, especially when he missed out on all those levels. He could have had that experience egg the entire season. It would have been a beautiful thing to see. But I'm glad, Gretham, you mentioned it. I would like to plug the Save the Umaro Foundation, if you don't mind, Schwantz.
Sure. We'll allow Blasphemy to continue.
Oh, sure. Yeah, so the Save the Umaro Foundation, normally every day you see Umaros up in the sky on an airship where they don't belong. Don't get me wrong, they do belong up in the sky, but up in the sky defeating final Kefkas is where they belong. And the Save the Umaro Foundation aims to restore Umaros to their natural habitat. The final party, defeating final Kefka up in the sky for you, the player.
Look what you did, Gretham. I may have cursed the run, but you cursed the interview, okay?
Yeah, I'm gonna counter that real quick. We have a foundation called Save Gogo. Gogo is the most incredible character because Gogo can do anything that anyone can do. Gogo is incredible. You want someone to fly an airship? Gogo. You want someone to defeat Final Kefka? Gogo. Take your Gogos from start to finish. Gogo is your best friend, friends.
Yeah, Gogo and Umaro both getting a showcase here on your guys' team was really, really nice to see. The most interesting thing I think about the seed was Sabin, for both party members, was hanging out at Tritalk Cliff, but in the wrong world, which is wild to me. I don't know if you guys noticed that.
And Sign was up there in at Kefka Narsh, so there's a bunch of characters up there at the top of Narsh.
Yeah. Yeah, so top runners Sabin was at bottom runners Narsh, Tritalk Cliff, and vice versa. Top runners Sabin, which it looks like you did not get up to Tritalk Cliff because you got Fenrir, I think, as go mode for Possum Morpheus, right? At the dragon.
Yep, from the Ice Dragon.
Yeah. So if you would have kept going, you could have gotten Possum Morpheus as Sabin, which, it is what it is. Anyway, any other thoughts, Glue and Possum Morpheus? Tell us a little bit about why you love playing Worlds Collide and why you think it's a good game for sort of this Multithon marathon that we are trying to submit for here.
Yeah, I think the big thing with Worlds Collide is just showing off the partnership and the community that's really behind the game. not just from folks in the commentary booth and folks on stream racing, but the entire community behind the scenes. Everybody always being so willing to help out with whatever causes. If it's an external cause, great. Everyone's going to help out. If it's an internal cause, folks are going to help out. New runners coming in, folks are going to help out. Just incredibly warm community from the standpoint of being overly helpful, and it's fantastic to have that as part of a community. I think if nothing else, that's a great reason to be showcased throughout the entire e-world, if you will. Whether it be a submission for a charity foundation, whether it be just a local event. Worlds Collide's amazing for that.
Yeah, just to touch on that a little bit, Multithon is really cool because it benefits Blue Path. If you're not familiar with what Blue Path is, they work to provide service dogs for those in need of it. And not only, I've touched on Save the Morrow Foundation. That's one of my big passions. But one of my other passions in life is supporting animals, and particularly dogs and or cats. I've rehomed over 40 dogs and cats in my adulthood, and the fact that there's organizations like Blue Path that we can play video games with friends and help support is a really cool thing to me, and I am on board every day and twice on Sunday for something like that.
Yeah, it's really interesting because Blue Path, actually, their foundation is located just a couple towns over from where I live. So I've been, past where their offices are before, and I'm very familiar with them in my local community. In addition to being familiar with them in the gaming online community, so it's a nice little crossover there, which is pretty wild. So. But thank you guys, both Drinks Glue and Possumorpheus, for teaming up to showcase our game. Can't have the races without the runners, so thank you so much. And we'll see you on the next one, friends. All right, so also want to thank Cheech for helping doing the tracking tonight. Tracking 4 different runners as I tried to figure out technical difficulties behind the scenes and commentate as well is a huge job, so thank you, Cheech, for keeping me on my toes, and thank you as well, Gretham, for doing commentary with me. This is a lot of fun, even though I feel really bad about the fate of some of our runners due to some of the words that I said on stream.
Certain words definitely cause an effect on certain Kefka fights.
Yep, clearly my audible bits got transmitted to everybody else's games, and that's what happened. So, but yeah, thank you to the staff for helping me put the show on. Multithon 2025 submission. We were a part of Multithon 2024, and it was a lot of fun. So hopefully we get selected for this go round as well. And thanks for consideration. And I think that's about going to do it for us here. We appreciate you taking your time, and we'll catch you later. Peace out, everybody.